I work in a
Really?
head office for a company called Accor Hotels. And Accor Hotels, they are the global hotel chain. And quite interesting because people are not traveling, the social distancing, physical distancing. So a lot of change, a lot of things have changed in our industry, and it's really impacted in a big way. So for Accor Hotels, we got about 6,500 hotels around the world, and we have closed temporarily 70% of our hotels.
Wow.
70% of our hotels are closed down
wow.
for a temporary basis, so about a month, max to max month and a half. And we will open accordingly how the situation rolls out. We will open it. So we are putting together a big plan about on sanitization, because that's going to be a big thing for the future. The sanitization will be a big thing. There'll be standard operating procedures, protocol in offices, in especially to conferences, because we've got hotels have got massive big conference rooms, smaller ones, they're different sizes. So now, because of physical distancing, people are not gonna have a lot of confidence to even go to these conferences. So we are coming up with some strategies how to go about it. People are gonna talk more like online like that. So there'll be more people having smaller groups rather than big conferences. Even the big ones, we're gonna have capacity of 30% rather than having 100%. So we're working on that as well, and we're communicating out. We are liaising with the third party to do our certification for sanitization in our hotels. Yeah, so sanitization is going to be a big thing. It's a very going to big thing.
That's sorry to cut you there, but Ahmed, that's a really big one there, because remember we were talking most this week and etc. We've been talking with individuals where what's going to happen. The world is never going to be the same. We said in the number of BBRs that we've been having the last 2-3 weeks with Gary and myself that everything is going to change. Sanitization is going to be a key format. Restaurants, hotels, any public environment. And I think there's going to be a law passed with reference to that. It's like amendments, we call it. And one of the key things I think is going to be a big one for yourselves and hoteliering systems. I mean, like 5,000 plus hotel independent locations closed is a big thing there. So, and what I'm going to say that is you're going to get to a situation where I think people will hire your rooms. I'm talking about your venue and event rooms to actually have a virtual meeting. So keep that one in mind as well, because I believe, the bigger screens, where people were using as a secondary procedure, just as an idea, basically the larger screens, maybe upgrade them to like 88-inch screens with proper LED bases, OLED background bases, and then set up the whole room for it being a virtual training, so that the trainer can come in and present in your rooms, hire the room out, present in the rooms to his group of people via faster internet, etc. This is going to be the way of the future, I think.
That's exactly what I was thinking about wrestling. I saw wrestling the other day, yeah, and none of the crowd is there. So they just got the wrestlers wrestling around in this empty room. And I was just thinking, why didn't they just put LED walls all the way around, right? Switch on put like this Zoom thing going on, let everybody just scream and shout, get that ambience going, right? And just let the wrestlers wrestle, and we're seeing these virtual screens everywhere. It would have been awesome. Right? They should have done that. It's like I'm sitting at home thinking I've just come up with $1 million idea, and these guys haven't even done it. It's crazy.
Maybe you should implement it. Just go ahead and do it.
I know. We're gonna reach out to them and say this is what you got to do for wrestling.
Well done. I think this is actually going to be a way of the future. I think we've really got to realize that we've got to embrace this virtual life. It's not going to change anytime soon. I think for the last month and a half, 2 months, I've been saying everybody once we get into lockdown, trust me, this is not going to change any urgent time. We're going to be like this for a good couple of 3, maybe 4, maybe in fact, I think until the end of the year, because there's some of the things that I talk about considerably in, this is not about, I'm just trying to help everybody here. It's not about educational systems. I'm just telling you that basically with hotels and things of that sort of nature, there has to be stimuluses to get people to get back out again. And I think you're going to be at least 1.5 years to 2 years before people from UK are freely going abroad again. And in holiday format, actually spending time in a hotel or something of that sort of nature, I think it's going to take at least 2 stimuluses, if not 3. The first stimulus that's going to come up will be obviously summer holiday, which is going to be, sort of like your August time. But I believe people will still not be returning to hotels or a lot of serviced accommodation, I believe that will be a micro stimulus. The next one will be Christmas. And Christmas is going to give a bit of a stimulation, maybe 15 to 20% worth of stimulation again. But I believe it will stay that way until 2021. So we've all got to look at opportunities working on skeletal staff, keeping people on furlough long enough. And the most important thing is the government is currently still backing this. We've never had this before, where the government is actually, in essence, willing to pay our staff and our teams, up to 80% of their income. So it's going to take the pressure off the organizations to run a little bit. So just a little thought there.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm like 85% of our team now, like whether it is a head office or in the hotels, are on furlough, and we are taking whether it is in the UK, it's furlough, but it's in Scandinavia and in the Belgium, Netherlands, our team over there, they are on economic unemployment, or they are doing shorter hours. So that's where the situation is at the moment, and we are taking the advantage of what the government has offered us. So
yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. What about the travel, especially airlines is not going to be fully packed. It'll be definitely it's going to be 30% occupancy for the in flights
until 2021. It's going to be a big change.
And the rates airline fares will go up because of the less people traveling, and they want to at least maintain, and the fixed cost is still there for the airlines, so the fares is going to go up and there'll be less people traveling. I agree.
Yeah. And just to bring conversation to this, so we can get on and get a bit social, one thing I want to appreciate with everybody is get used to this. Ask yourself a simple question, everyone. Ask yourself, what is it specifically that I'm enjoying from being isolated and being on my own? This is very important for you to take pen to paper and write down, what is it that I'm actually enjoying? Then the second question, in business boardroom people, you already know because we went through this. The second question I'd ask yourself very, very clearly is, how can I integrate that enjoyment into what would be classified as my previous normal life? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So ask yourself these sort of key questions, make a good effort, get pen to paper. Don't leave it in your head. Get a pen to paper and write down, what is it that I'm actually truly enjoying about this? Because this isn't negative. I've been telling everybody, I told the kids, I said, look, guys, get used to this. Enjoy it. Get present with it. Realize this is actually a gift, and we're actually in that space. Of course, my heart goes out to all the people who have lost parents, elders, loved ones during this time frame. But it's a very serious matter. But we've really got to be open to current change. One of the key things I teach everybody, I've been saying it to every single person for nearly 2 months now, adapter. Yeah, become that adapter. Get out there, and your business right now is dead. Whatever you're doing is not going to work. So it needs to be a brand new business model. Whatever you're doing, get live, get adapted, think about it now and say, what can I do now? The questions that I ask, which we're delivering a training, but I'm just sharing it to everybody just openly if I can, is currently, what was my core business? What were my core skills? Or what are my core skills? What specifically, as in tools and assets, do I have? How possibly can I repurpose this and adapt this? We mustn't get very, the word I'm looking for, we don't get possessive over your previous business, because it's either completely decimated or it's on pause. So if it's on pause, you have to accept the fact that it's on pause. Life will get back to a certain hybrid of normal, but we have to be very strong with ourselves to understand that what is it that I can do right now? And even if it means my current business was earning me 80%, 90% of my income is on pause, now I have to look for something else. We have to look for current cash flow, current income. Now, I'm going to share this. I've never shared this with anybody else who's outside my training, who's not in my current education. Every single environment has what we classify as an emotional flow. So for example, we have a profile. We have the DISC profile, psychometric profile, DISC. But we also have a profile to change, to energy in the world. So the very first profile that's in this marketplace in the world that we've already experienced is what we classify as the D, the dominant energy. The dominant energy of curfew, for example. Let's look at the curfew. Let's call it lockdown. Call it whatever you want. The first bit we've got to remember is that curfew came across where we basically and I'm talking not we, everybody, anybody, basically went through a process of thinking, oh my God, it's about me. It's about my company. It's about my family. And people went out and bought excess for the elements of control to keep it in there. This is the dominant energy. The dominant energy is deal with it right now and go and overbuy, stock up the house, be ready for it. So I'm ready, and that's all that matters. It flowed into the second week into another energy. The energy was the compliant calculus energy. The second energy that came across was, okay, so we've had all the do or die scenario. We're getting all this money, all the food in the car, in the house. Now the next energy that people phased into in the second week was about, okay, so this is here to stay. It isn't going to be here. I've got used to being at home now. So now I don't need to skive off from being a person involved in something. What is my strategy and structure? What do I want to do on a daily basis? Let me organize the day. How can I ensure that we're spreading the food properly? How can I ensure that we're not taking food that we don't need? Is everybody around us safe? Is every core task covered? So we start getting to compliant energy. So we're going from the dominant energy of now, me, now, grab, into a space of the second phase was talking about actually assisting structure, flow, keeping things in structure and helping people, having a plan, enjoying what we're currently doing, but putting an order around this. Then now we're currently, just to let you know, to give you all a bit of a pickup, we're currently in the phase 3. The phase 3 is about to start. We are now in phase 3 where people are settled. They've got the order in place. They've realized they've got some resources. Now we're moving into phase 3. Phase 3 now is talking very clearly about people becoming I energy, influencer energy. So this is why I'm telling you, get out there, get videoing out there, get community out there, get conversation going, communicate with everybody like this. But what is the third phase? The third phase is going to be a bit of topsy-turvy, a bit haphazard, a bit, I'm not that bothered. Oh, you know, to hell with it. Whatever it is, we'll manage it. What we call being lax with your order and structure. So this is the I energy. This is about being free, being freedom. People walking the streets more. Have you noticed? You go out and they're walking the streets more. There's more people in their car on the road again. There's people walking in public parks again. They're still keeping that social distance, but they're missing, sometimes they're missing the purpose of the fact that this is a really important and a very serious situation we're in. So that's why the government has moved into phase 3 of saying, please push yourself to stay in, keep the lockdown, stay in your house for longer so we can drop the curve. So the third phase of this energy is that particular phase where we're now thinking about, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it doesn't matter. We'll get out. Let's just go shopping. We're not wearing masks. Oh, it'll be fine. People delivering, we're opening the packages straight away. Do you understand that? When in the last phase, the phase 2, which was the compliant phase, people were putting packages in hallways, in boxes, leaving it for 24 hours before they opened it. And the moment they opened it, they'd sanitize everything, wash their hands and open the product. Does that make sense? All this is changing. We're going into a topsy-turvy. The only survival technique we've got is to ensure that we keep ourselves connected, communicated, but we keep to structure, order, and process, and we only buy as much as we require. And this is not here for the short-term team. We're going to be looking until June. We're looking to July. And I still don't think they're going to relax the social distancing. I believe social distancing is going to stay until the end of the year, if not until early next year. So that's my genuine, honest belief on this. The final phase is what we call the stability phase. The fourth phase, which will be probably in another month, 2 months' time. Because it wraps round. This is an individual phase for every human being. Do you understand that? It's not just everybody the same. But the social, what we call communal movements, it's communal, but also individuals are having personal journeys within this as well, because we're a nuclear family. So we're having the dominant energy, the me, my, I want to sort this out. And then they put the order and structure. And then people are starting to say, well, look, I don't care. They're lashing out. They're arguing with people. They're going out there and having an aggressive conversation, or they're losing their temper, which is phase 3, which is the I energy. But then in phase 4, it's the stability energy. And in that energy, in that flow, people start to relax a little bit and become acceptant of what is going on. They realize that this is it. We're here. This is a reality. This isn't a blip. It's not staying for a short period of time. This is long-term, team. The world will never be the same. It will never be the same. You really have to accept this. There's going to be major changes. More people are going to be less social. There's going to be more social individuals, but they're going to be There's going to be a long time before we shake people's hands openly. It's going to be a long time when we might even ask, where have you been today? You know, there's going to be a lot more privacy movements. So in the stability area, we're going to start to relax a little bit. We're going to settle a little bit. We're going to start to say, well, this is my normal day. This is my new norm. This is my new agenda. This is my new plan. This is my new day plan. People are starting to realize now that if you apply yourself for 4 hours in any business personally in your personal day, all of a sudden, everything gets done. If you start to spend 4 hours in business, it just gets done. You don't need more than 3 to 4 hours in your daily business to get your stuff done. I mean, I am telling you now, you can do anything you need to do in your company, in your business organization within 3 hours of concentrated DFT time. So deliver it, do it, and start to become social again. Don't become chained to your desktops, because what's going to happen is that we'll forget to take acceptance of this current situation, and we'll start to lose our little bit of flow and connection with other people. That's a thought. So once we start to create a stability, we'll start to think about the fourth phase of this is normal now. And once we get to that acceptance stage of this is normal, I wake up at this time. If I do a late night shift with somebody, I will wake up a bit later, or I'll wake up a bit earlier, or whatever it is. We'll start to play and we'll start to settle. The fourth phase of the work of your personal life, but the fourth phase of the country will stop becoming aggressive towards the movements. I think excite yourself, because right now we're in phase 3. Phase 3 is people are starting to get a little bit relaxed and they're starting to spend money again. They're starting to free flow. Online businesses are shooting through the roof right now, not only because of the safety and the delivery, but because even things like gaming platforms are shooting through the roof. People getting involved in social platforms, but getting online purchases have become less thought about. There's no resistance now. Does this make sense? Is helping a little bit?
Yeah.
So get excited. People are going to start to spend again. There'll be a new business. Your current business, what if it was? Pause it. It's not happening. Let's just get into the new phase of business. I mean, I'm not joking. Some of the highest ranking YouTube channels there are video gamers, right? The top 3 are kids. Number 3 is actually a video gamer who's showing people how to technique and just watching them play. So give me a second. Who told us that we can't start something that really excites us? What about the movies that you're watching? Manjeet, why haven't I got a session about you and the trees? You seem very ignited. How's about Ranjit? You said specific about why aren't we talking about your visual of you were just talking about, what was the film again? It wasn't Godfather, whatever the movie was.
Carlito's Way, yes.
Carlito's Way. So how's about getting onto your YouTube channel? Excuse me, opening the subsection and literally starting and saying lockdown movie review, and just start creating some movie reviews. Do some chill stuff. Go on your own channel and go down underneath it and say lockdown recipes. Create your movies, create your information, and put it into a different category on your YouTube channel. People will search for it. They'll say, oh, here's Ravinder, and he's created some bread, or he's did this, he's done that. And they'll say, here's him talking about his stock and his information. But over here, he's talking about a movie. I like him. I'll listen to his stuff. Trina, she talks about her cooking, but she also talks some sense about how things should be positively sustained. You know, Ahmad's talking about his life and actually what the Accor group is doing. But he doesn't need to talk about the Accor group because that's under bond. He could talk about what hotel industry is doing right now and how he thinks hotel industry is going to change. Do you think you're not going to catch those people? What about Marcus with your multi-network, you know, your network marketing? Well, what's changing? Well, actually, there's no more face-to-face meetings, I'm afraid. And it's getting harder. Why don't you talk about your challenges, toils and tribbles, you know, the troubles and stuff you're having? You should be all sharing this, studying people in school, parents with children with parents, you know, all those sort of things. Teachers, Amrit, you know, she's Danny's wife. She's having a problem with her school teachers, but she's adapting. But how is she adapting? How's about giving some evidence of how to homeschool? Health. What about looking at our backbone? Look at the foods we're eating. You know, guys, this is now the time to probably ease off on all the junk. Did you know that we could do without junk food all this time? Do you get it? You know, little things like that. You know, Ian, you're sitting there clearly. You can sit there quite happily. And what about transmigrating your operational knowledge into how it's worked in your real world? How's about everybody with DISC, whoever studied DISC with me? Why don't you start watching movies and start to profile the video guys, the core character, the lead character? Come on, this is going to be amazing. Can you imagine sharing that within your social groups of something valuable? I think people are going to be sitting there thinking, wow, that was something I didn't know. Anyhow, that's all I wanted to say.
Sukhi, just want to check. Will it be okay in the YouTube channel to have the content, your personal and your professional, in the same channel, or you prefer better to have two different ones, because it's then mixed up, because they say that sometimes he posts something about his music, sometimes he's talking about this.
I'll just help a little bit quickly before we cut off. So Ahmed, yes, you can use your social, domestic and business conversations on one YouTube channel. But here's the understanding. Your first phase of your first YouTube channel is always going to be your own named YouTube channel. Then what you do is you move into the second phase. The second phase is that what people have been viewing, watching, engaging with, that's when you start to open up a new YouTube channel dedicated to that niche. So at this stage, unless you've got a million people on your subscription, all of you should be focusing, or even, let's say, 1,000 people in your subscription. The first trigger is 1,000. When you have 1,000 people in your subscription is when you start to refine, looking at the analytics and saying, what kind of channel should I be talking about now? That doesn't mean you drop your main YouTube channel. It just means that you start to refine it. And you say, well, do you know what? I've got so many viewers on my food channel. So you might try and say, and open up a brand new food channel. It might be about what is the future of, somebody might decide to say, what's the future of hotels or the service accommodation industry? Well, that might become your new channel. Does that make sense? So your first channel is your own channel under your own brand, and you always label it your full name, official. Because most people have got YouTube channels, but maybe 2 profiles. So if you haven't, get 2 profiles. I'll explain. Always have a profile which is your official profile, and then have a secondary profile that sits on your mobile phone if you're consuming content. Does that make sense? So if you like stuff, that doesn't have to go into your YouTube channel profile. Do you understand this? I've got 2 channels. Everybody should have 2 channels at least. One, what we call is a personal profile, and one is an official. So people who search for your name and your brand will find your official. And then maybe you might just turn around and say, instead of Trina Morn, you might say, your personal channel might be just something like your email address, or I wouldn't do that because then you get loads of spam, but you know, something completely different. You could just, you know, like lockdown at, or whatever you want to call it, but have a secondary social profile on YouTube as well. I'm just letting Satpal back in. Hang on a second, he wants to join back in. Is that helpful, anybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, Sukhi.
Any other thoughts, anyone?
Yeah, just stay focused on like, you know, what your key thing is. Try not to do too many different things either, but try to get laser focused, because that means you're not distributing your energy in other places that doesn't need it.
Totally. And
Also, I think
always have a discipline structure. Don't overdo your business intervention, because everybody's on the same position. If you're employed, and if you're lucky enough to still be employed, etc., then you've got X amount of tasks you've got to get done. Well, get them done in a more condensed manner. Does that make sense? And if you're self-employed, have time for your family right now. And maybe our life could be a different place. Maybe we could connect with our family in a different way, in a new way. Maybe we could realize that actually I didn't realize that I'm super efficient when I'm at work without the distractions of people saying, hi, how are you doing? Or have you got 5 minutes for me? Maybe I can get tons more done, which I think is a lovely thing as well, right?